Hi there, my name's Fiona and I'm the Customer Relationship Manager at PTFS Europe. What's in our mind today is Housebound, or some libraries refer to it as the home delivery service. And I thought I'd just spend a few minutes showing you the Housebound module on Koha. So the Housebound module essentially controls the circulation of material to those users who are unable to get into the library. And it's configured simply by a system preference. So we take a look at our system preferences. There is one for the Housebound module. And it's enable or disable the Housebound module. And if it's enabled, then you'll see some extra features associated with user records, which I'll just demonstrate to you in a second. Now, the other thing to mention is that the Housebound module works in conjunction with a couple of reports as well, and we'll talk about those later on in the presentation. But we're going to look at both types of users, the members of staff who deal with this service and the users who receive their books via the home delivery service. So I'm going to look at a member of staff's record first of all. So if I just look up a test record of mine, you can see that this member of staff has a category of staff, but they also have some housebound roles associated with them. So because we enabled the Housebound module via that system preference, we now have the facility to set housebound roles for members of the library staff who will be working with this feature. So in this case, my record is set to be both a chooser and a deliverer. But of course, you may have a member of staff simply choosing the material to be sent to the users, and then different staff who will deliver the goods. So you've got the radio buttons here where you can select whether or not they're a chooser or a deliverer. Now, if I look at it from the user's perspective, so if I just look up one of my housebound users on the system, most libraries have a specific user category to represent these types of users, and the benefit of doing that is so that you can interact with your circulation rules and have this category of user having its own loan periods and whether or not they get fined, etc. So it's good practice to have a specific category for the housebound users. Now what you'll see from this screen is that the housebound roles appear because the module is enabled, but this is a member of the library, a housebound member who will receive the delivery of the book, so they don't have any roles as such. However, enabling the Housebound module will also provide a Housebound tab on the left-hand side. Now, when we click into here, we can see this gives us a facility to create a housebound profile. And you can specify what their delivery date is and what frequency they should have that delivery. Now, the frequency is a drop-down list, and it comes from authorised values. So you are in complete control of the frequency options that will appear in this drop-down list. Now, also within the profile, you have the ability to set what types of materials the user wants and what particular subject areas and authors they're interested in. You can edit this at any time, and you've got free text fields allowing you just to put in as much or as little information as you like. We've got a referral and a notes field, for example, that could be used for any purpose. Now, the second part of the housebound profile is this deliveries area. And we can see that this user, Ben Smith, has 2 deliveries set, one for the end of August and one for the end of September. Now, in this case, there are different choosers and deliverers because possibly a member of staff goes on holiday. So it might be the case that they will see different people. But to add a new delivery, you just click the button. So we've got the August and the September ones. So we'll come in to do the October delivery. And we know that this user gets his delivery on a Tuesday, so we'll put it at the end of the month, normally in the afternoon. And then we can specify which member of staff should do the choosing and who should do the delivering. So in this example, I'm going to say that I should choose the material but actually David will deliver them to Ben on the 27th of October. So when I click save, it just adds that into the delivery schedule. So you can see for the first two, it's the same chooser and deliverer, but on the the last delivery that we've got scheduled, I'll be choosing and David will be delivering. So at any time, these can be edited. So we need to change the date or the member of staff, we can do so. Okay. Now, I mentioned earlier that this user has the unique category of housebound, and another benefit of having the own categories for these types of users is to allow you to check if the material has been borrowed before. As we know, one of the options on the left-hand side is your circulation history, but over time this may become quite long. And yes, you can search, but you might want to just get a wee prompt when you're working with the housebound service just to see if the user has borrowed the material before. So if we come back into our administration page and look at the system preference for check previous checkouts, this is set to, unless overridden by patron category, do not check the borrower loan history. You've got several options here, but if it's set in this way, then it means by default, do not check for previous checkouts, but do if the patron category specifies that you should. So if we take a look now at the patron category for the housebound, we can see that over here in the check previous loan column, we've got for the HB user, it should be set to yes. So the check previous checkouts flag should be used when we're checking items out to the user. So I'm just going to demonstrate that. If I go back into Ben Smith's record, and I'll just put in a barcode number. So this gives us an alert to tell us that the user has previously borrowed this title. But we can go ahead and issue it, obviously, or we can see actually we'll find something else. But because the system preference was set to unless overridden, do not, you wouldn't get this alert for each type of user, just for the ones where the category code the housebound. Now, I mentioned before that the Housebound module works in association with a couple of reports. These reports allow the members of the Housebound team to plan their deliveries and also gain lists of those users who are due a delivery so that they can make the selections, go to the shelves and select the material. Now, the reports themselves are available on the Koha Reports library, and there's one for choosers and one for deliverers. So I'm going to come in and look at the delivery one first of all. It asks you for the borrower number. Now, the borrower number is the borrower number for the member of staff. Obviously, you can manipulate the SQL to include more information, date ranges, etc. But I'm just putting in the borrower number for the member of staff at the moment. So this is my borrower number. And when I run this report, I then get details of all the planned deliveries that I need to be aware of coming up. So we've got this one at the end of September for the user that we were just looking at in Care Home 1. Okay, so this allows me to see my upcoming deliveries. The second report, the choosers report, allows me to see what deliveries are coming up against so that I can get details of what I should be going to the shelf to look for, what I should be choosing for, which borrowers should we be choosing for. So I enter my borrower number. We can see that we've got the two deliveries coming up, the September and the October for this Ben Smith, and it just gets details the borrower and their subject areas and authors and what type of material they like. So it just gives me an indication of what I can go and select for this user and then check them out to the user. So that is the Koha Housebound module, a very quick overview of it. I hope you found it useful. Thanks.